there. Today, we are diving into a really radical vision for our future. It's a future that, according to the source material, is totally dependent on some incredible technologies that have supposedly been kept under wraps for decades.
You know, the document we're looking at today starts with this exact question. And it's arguing that our future isn't just about getting faster phones or smarter AI. Nope, it suggests there's something much more fundamental holding us all back.
And there it is. That's the core argument, right there. The real issue isn't what we can build. It's us. The text basically claims that our access to these world-changing breakthroughs is directly tied to our collective maturity. We don't get the keys to the kingdom until we can prove we can be trusted with them. So this brings us to what the source calls humanity's first big step. It's really insistent on this point. Before any of the amazing devices we're about to talk about can be released, we as a species have to go through a massive inner transformation. Only then, it claims, will we be ready for this quantum leap that's just waiting for us. Okay, so what kind of future are we even talking about? Well, it all starts with energy. The text describes two fundamental and supposedly suppressed energies that power this entire new paradigm. And they're not just energy sources. They're described as the actual building blocks of a whole new reality. So first up are these things called tachyons. The document describes them as universal particles of light that are just everywhere in the cosmos. And what's their natural job? To bring harmony and healing. Imagine a constant stream of beneficial cosmic energy just flowing, meant to keep everything in perfect balance. But, and this is a huge but, there's a catch. According to this source, all that healing energy is being intentionally blocked from ever reaching us, and it's being blocked by what it calls dark forces, who have apparently put up an artificial barrier around the entire planet.
Yeah, this barrier, supposedly located way up in the ionosphere, is said to act like a very specific filter. It has one purpose: to stop these good guy tachyon particles from getting down here to the surface of the Earth.
The second key energy source is plasma. Now, we all know plasma from science class, right? The fourth state of matter. But this text presents it as something way more profound. It's described as a living, intelligent light that acts as a bridge between the physical and non-physical worlds. And it holds the key to things like free energy and even anti-gravity. So, we have these two cosmic energies. Pretty out there. But what can they actually do? Well, this is where we shift from theory to a very specific application that the text claims will make disease a thing of the past. It's called the medbed. And the source describes three different kinds, all powered by this tachyon and plasma energy. The first type is for diagnosis. It does holographic scans and non-invasive laser surgery. The second one goes even further. It can supposedly regenerate missing organs, even entire limbs. But that third one, oh man, the third one is on a whole other level. I mean, just let that sink in for a second. This quote from the document points to the most jaw-dropping claim of all about this reatomization bed: complete and rapid age reversal. We're talking about regenerating your entire body, from head to toe, and literally turning the clock back decades in just a few minutes. So just to recap this whole thing, the holographic bed gets rid of the need for diagnosis and surgery. The regenerative bed can regrow parts using what the text calls cellular memory. And that reatomization bed, it rebuilds you at a subatomic level, healing deep trauma and literally reversing aging. It's a system that, according to the source, would make the entire pharmaceutical industry just disappear overnight. So beyond completely revolutionizing healthcare, the document details technologies it says will fundamentally restructure all of society by eliminating scarcity itself. We're not just talking about new gadgets here. We're talking about changing the very foundation of our entire economy. And the text says this will all be done with two core technologies. First, free energy devices that power literally everything for everyone for free. And second, these personal manufacturing machines called replicators, which could supposedly create any object out of thin air, eventually making money itself just a relic of the past. So how would these replicators even work? Well, the process is described as starting not with physical materials, but with a digital design, what the source calls an etheric blueprint. It's like a template, but on a non-physical plane. From the user's side of things, the process sounds almost unbelievably simple. You design whatever you want on a computer, which creates that etheric blueprint, and then you just press a button, and it manifests directly into physical reality.
This technology, the source claims, could create literally anything you can think of: food, clothes, housing, which would fundamentally end things like poverty and hunger. With total abundance for everyone, it suggests our collective focus would finally shift away from just surviving to true purpose and creativity.
Okay, so what does a world with all this stuff actually look like? Well, according to this text, it wouldn't just all appear at once. It outlines a really carefully staged rollout that kicks off with a single massive moment that it calls the event.
The source lays out a pretty specific journey. Right now, it says our only job is to focus on our spiritual growth. Then, after this event, the foundational tech like med beds and replicators would be released. Later on, after a first contact, even more advanced systems like self-piloting flying cars and even teleportation would become common. The text presents an incredibly stark contrast here. You've got our current reality, which it defines by scarcity, competition, and all our limits, versus this proposed reality, a world of total abundance, perfect health, and just limitless creative potential out there among the stars. And ultimately, this source brings everything right back to where it started. Our inner state is what dictates the outer reality we can create and, more importantly, safely manage. The technology itself isn't really the prize. It's just the byproduct of our own evolution. And so, the text leaves us with this final, really provocative question. In a world where all your needs are met and limitations like disease and aging are just gone, what becomes your purpose? What do you strive for when you don't have to struggle anymore? That's a future worth thinking about.